So, guys, I'm sure by now you're wondering why did someone say that Canada is 10 times better than the United States? So, I would say this: if you're an international student and you're considering Canada or the United States, this video is for you. Now, I don't know why anyone would want to go to the United States. No shades to anybody that is there. As an international student, there are so many factors that you should consider. Okay, and I'm going to do that in this video. The first thing I'm going to say is one of the reasons I like the United States. I like the United States because it is the grandfather of scholarships. They have tons of funding for you and I. Okay, so you can see a school giving you 100,000 USD for you to study. Okay, but there are other reasons that I do not like the United States for immigrants, international students, and anybody who wants to migrate. Okay, so like I feel like in the United States, it's not safe. I mean, it's not everywhere, but I would choose Canada over the United States for safety reasons. That's number one. Number two, yes, I know that in the United States we have, like top schools. I mean, I know that at some point in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, I think USA they gave admission to over 1 million students, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to make sure I'm not giving out false information, but USA gave like over 1 million students admission, but Canada could not do that. Okay, Canada does not have as much universities as United States. Okay, so you can just imagine USA have lots of schools and they're going to be giving you funding, but in Canada the funding is limited and the schools are also limited as well. They're not as huge as US. Okay, so that is one of the reasons that I also like US, because you have tons of options. You have a lot of options, and I also like USA because they can give you like application fee waivers. Like if we have over 5,000 schools in the US, 1,000 will most likely give you application fee waiver, but Canada is I don't want to use the word stingy, but like the whole world of, we know they give shishi, they know they commot shishi. What it means, for those who don't understand what I'm saying, is that Canada does not remove application fee, and I'm referring to schools that are like U15 and schools that will give you funding, fully funded scholarships for you to study in their school. So they don't waive application fee waivers. They hardly do. Most schools that waive application fee waivers are usually colleges, okay, and most application fee waivers are done through partnerships. So why am I taking my time to explain this? I'm just trying to let you know that there are so many reasons why I prefer Canada to the US. Now, let's now go deep into one of the reasons that I am worried about people who go to the United States to study. The first reason is, number one, if I'm a student in the United States and I'm married, I can travel with my family, but then the problem is that my spouse can't work in the United States. So my spouse will most likely be a homestay dad. You're gonna stay home and take care of the kids and all of that, right? So why would I go to a country where I have to pay tons of bills? The tuition fees in the United, we'll get to that, okay? So, but why would I go to a country where my spouse cannot work? Okay, I get to study and I get to work only 20 hours per week, and you're telling me that my spouse, who is meant to be supporting me, can't work. That's where Canada beats them hands down. Canada allows you to come in with your spouse with a spousal open work permit, okay, which allows your spouse to work full-time in Canada until your study permit expires. Okay, so like so why would so that's the problem. Why would I now want to go to a country that would not allow my spouse to work? Right? So that's why I prefer Canada, because Canada gives you the opportunity to come with your family and your partner gets to work full-time. So your partner comes into Canada with an spousal open work permit. That way your spouse can work full-time, 40 hours a week, or however your spouse wants to work, thereby supporting you to pay the bills. Because it's not beans, my darlings. It is not beans. And even if US gives you funding, right, the funding is not enough. Okay, it's not going to be enough for you to cater for your family, right? The funding is not for your family. Remember, the funding is for you. Okay, and then I know that some of us people say, oh, the money is a lot, but if you remember how much are tuition fees in the US, they're obviously a lot. So if the tuition fee is, let's say, 40,000 USD, you'll be getting it for 35, 38. Okay, so these are the issues, right? You want to make sure that you're not just gambling with your life and that of your family. I know someone who sold her property, took her family to the United States, and her husband has just been at home, frustrated, going into depression because he can't work, because the country does not allow him to work. That is why Canada is 10 times better than the United States. Now, this is something that is obviously known to us. I know there are some people that are very lucky, and there are some people that do it the right way and they get their work permits in the US, but it's always dependent on whether or not you got a job. Right? So if you are in non-STEM, you have like 1 year to get a job. And if you are in STEM, that's why you have like, 1 year and you can renew twice. So that's 3 years. Okay. So now imagine if you didn't get a job. I mean, I'm trying to be realistic. So let's imagine that you did not get a job. And guys, please, before I continue, this is my own personal opinion. I'm not saying it from the point of being an expert. I'm just saying what I feel about these two countries and why I prefer one to the other. Okay. So please take this as my own experience, my own research, and what I understand from what I've read and what people have told me as well. Okay, so why I cannot go to the US, or why I would not advise anyone to go to the US as an international student, is because you're like there's no straight pathway to, getting your papers. That's why most people resort to either getting married to get their papers and all of that stuff, and that's not something that you want to be doing. Okay, so if you're in Canada, imagine coming as a student. There are so many people who came as students and are currently citizens of Canada. Okay, you don't need to marry anybody, you don't need to do anything with anybody. It's a straight pathway. All you need to do is to be on track. Okay, all you need to do is, when you're done with school, apply for postgraduate work permits, and when you're done, apply for PR. And after PR, 2 years after you've gotten your PR, you're eligible to apply for Canadian citizenship. Now, is that not something very interesting for you and I? Why wouldn't you choose Canada over the United States? Yes, you can argue that in the United States there are tons of opportunities in terms of employment and all of that. That's true, but Canada is going to give you the same thing. Okay, Canada is going to give you that. It is, I know people say somehow it's not as easy as you're making it seem, but these are like one of the reasons why I would choose Canada over the United States. Now, let me know in the comments whether you prefer Canada to the United States or you prefer US to Canada. Anyhow, that's up to you. Let me know in the comments and let's get it rolling. Thank you, guys.